A Drama in 2 Acts by Eva Schegulla. Act 1, Scene 1. The lights are being shown in the yard of a New England house. The front porch is angled, a lovely covered front porch with a railing and gingerbread frou-frou. A hook on one of the porch posts has a dead hanging plant. The porch has a couple rockers, a love seat, small tables, and so forth, indicating that it's often used. There's a vase of dead flowers on one of the small tables, and the mail is piled in front of the closed screen door that's in front of the closed front door. There's a sound of a car pulling up. A moment later, Leah Cosgrove enters, carrying reusable grocery bags filled with groceries and produce. She also carries a live hanging plant. She puts everything down in front of the door, sees the mail, looks at the studio, and back at the door. The first thing she does is take down the dead hanging plant and put up the live one. She sets up the dead plant pot on the top step. She opens the screen, unlocks the front door, places the groceries inside, then comes out to pick up the vase of dead flowers, gather the mail, and go in. There's a sound of a second car. A moment later, Renza Rossi enters.
Alan? Alan? Leah?
In the kitchen. Be right out. I was putting away the groceries.
He could use Instacart.
We both know that's not going to happen.
I assume he's in there?
I think he's sleeping in there again. The
Is
mail was stacking up.
Is he eating?
Some of the casserole dishes are empty, others are untouched. At least he puts his dishes in the dishwasher, even if he doesn't remember to turn it on. I'm going to have to get someone to mow the lawn soon.
I'm worried.
You think I'm not?
Professionally, yeah, I'm worried personally too. Of course I am, but on a professional level, he's in trouble. We're in trouble. People want more from him than the same painting over and over and over again.
He's working through his grief.
Lily's been gone for 6 months.
Died. She died, Renza.
Yeah, I know.
Euphemisms don't make it easier. She didn't leave by choice. She was killed by a drunk driver. You can't expect us to have a date when we don't still love her, miss her, mourn her.
We're not in a grief competition. Look, painting their last perfect day together before she got in the car and had her accident over and over again for 6 months is not a healthy response.
You mean it's not a lucrative response?
It's not variations on a theme. It's the exact same painting over and over and over again. I'm calling them the fall foliage forays because it's Lily dancing among the autumn leaves in the yard. I can't number them and sell them as limited editions because there doesn't seem to be any limit to how often he'll paint it.
He needs to get it out of his system.
He needs to earn a living.
He needs time.
Is there anything around that I can show in the interim? Older work Alan's never put up for sale to tide us over?
It's not like I can ask him. Okay, I'll look around. Maybe there's something in the attic, in the basement, somewhere around the house.
There's the painting in the sunroom.
No.
It's beautiful. It's the French countryside in summer with Lily laughing among the lavender. It would sell in a heartbeat and remind everyone of Alan's talent.
He painted it as his gift to Lily on their wedding. She loved it. Alan would not give it up.
Might be healthier for him to let it go.
No.
If he doesn't come up with something, anything new soon, even a sketch that's not about Lily's last day, I'm going to have to drop him.
Renza, please. Let him heal at his own pace.
Sound of another car. Darren Cosgroves arrives.
You're here instead of home.
I texted you and told you I was stopping by on my way home.
Hello, Darren.
Renza, when are you going to shake Alan out of this stupid stupor?
We're working on it.
Alan's doing nothing more than indulging himself.
You're being unfair.
He's play acting his grief instead of moving on with his life, and all of you let him, enable him.
He's in therapy.
It's not working.
Stop it.
Renza, drop Alan. If Alan had the safety net of the two of you removed, he'd get his life together.
I need to go. You'll think about what we discussed, Leah.
I'll let you know.
I'm your husband, not Alan.
Is this because I asked you to pick up your own dry cleaning? What is it, once in our entire marriage?
I'm worried about you. You're carrying on your own grief around Lily's death, and Alan's using his grief so he doesn't have to shoulder any of the practicalities of day-to-day life. Lily handled all of those, and Alan can't be bothered. You let him hire an assistant instead of you spending every waking moment here.
It is not every waking moment. I go to work, I go to the gym.
How long has it been since you went to yoga? Or your pottery class?
I associate those things with Lily. It's hard to do them without her.
Then join a walking club or sing in a local choir. Just don't shut yourself up here.
I'm still cleaning out her things. I can only face doing a little bit at a time.
Let Alan deal with it. Oh wait, he won't.
I tried bringing some of the paperwork home, but I need to read them here where we spent so much time laughing and talking together. Please, Darren, don't hassle me. I can't take it anymore. I need some more time. A few weeks, maybe? It'll give me the chance to go through Lily's papers and make some decisions, and by then, maybe Alan...
He'll never do anything for himself as long as you let him lean on you.
But we're his support system, his family. That doesn't have an expiration date.
He's taking advantage.
Please, Darren, stop doing this to me.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Come home. I'll follow you.
I'll get my purse.
Scene 2. It's a fresh day. There's a vase of blooming lilacs on the porch table. Leah sits in one of the rocking chairs. There's a crate of notebooks, magazines, and papers in front of her. In easy reach, she has a tote bag which already has some notebooks in it. A small trash can with torn, discarded papers. There's a stack of magazines on the floor nearby, and a small box on the table which holds some bills, a checkbook, stamps, and so forth. There's a half-filled glass of lemonade on the table beside Leah. She sorts notebooks, magazines, papers to toss. She opens an envelope, reads through a bill, writes the check. She clicks the check to the bill and puts it in the small box. She continues her work. The door to the studio opens and Alan Keller emerges. His hair is tousled with a little bit of paint on it. He hasn't shaved in a few days. His pants and shirt have streaks of paint on them. When he first exits the studio, he's physically and emotionally vigorous. Throughout the scene, he deflates and ages.
And he emerges.
Sorry, you look so much like her. The way she always sat on the porch to work. She said it made bill paying easier to do it out here. I'm going to get something to drink. Want a refill?
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. What day is it?
Thursday.
You stop labeling the casseroles by the day.
I figured you could choose what you wanted to eat. I can start doing it again.
No, it made me feel like I was 5. Although I'm grateful.
I saw the empty casserole dish with Mrs. Thurbridge's name taped to the bottom. She's been by again, huh?
Oh, you poor dear. I bet this is the time you regret not having children to help you through it. As though they wouldn't be equally traumatized and be something else to deal with. At least she's a good cook.
I need you to sign these.
Another month's bills paid.
I need to hire someone to mow this lawn.
I used to do it.
But you won't.
Lily used to sit here on the porch or out on the back deck and laugh at me struggling with the machine. I swear it was trying to kill me. You're right. Just hire whomever you think will do a good job without destroying the plant. Lily loved her lilacs and all of those other plants that I can't remember the names of, especially the sad ones she rescued from the garden center sale table and nursed back to health.
Do you want any of the magazines?
Gardening and fashion? No thanks.
I'll drop them at the laundromat on my way home. I'll make sure there's no auto-renew on the subscriptions. What about the New Yorker? They're stacking up.
We used to lie in the hammocks and out back and read them to each other. Well, even though Lily read them cover to cover as soon as they arrived. Canceled. I need to get back.
It's going well?
Yeah, I'm in a flow.
Can you talk about the work?
I'm in a flow.
Alan gets up and walks to the studio with a slight limp, as though he's 20 years older than when he emerged and in pain. Scene 3. Leah is sitting on the porch reading Lily's notebooks.
How did I not know any of this?
Because everyone had to think that everything was perfect.
There's a sound of a car engine turning off. Lily darts out of sight as Renza enters.
How's it going?
Going.
Nice job on the lawn.
I found someone good. I tried to mow it myself, but Alan is right. That is one homicidal lawnmower.
Heaven forbid Darren help.
Oh, he's just, he's...
Done with Alan. I get it. Did you find anything?
I didn't find any paintings. I'm still looking.
Yeah,
I found some sketches, but they're not Alan's. I'm trying to work out the provenance and who did them.
they're not signed?
I think the signatures are hidden in the sketches themselves.
That sounds intriguing. Can I take a look?
Let me do a little more research. Soon?
I'm thinking of bringing in someone else.
To replace Alan?
What? No, I'm sorry. To help Alan.
He's in therapy.
Is he making his sessions?
Yes.
Because you make sure he does.
It doesn't matter as long as he makes them.
I bet it matters to Darren.
Please don't.
I'll go.
Oh, you don't have to go. I can get you something to drink or eat.
No, it's fine. Is he talking about the work?
Just that he's in a flow.
So it's still the fall foliage paintings. I'm sorry. Look, none of this is on you.
It feels that way.
Is it okay if I bring someone by who can help?
I can't promise he'll be willing to take a break.
You'll understand when you meet her, okay? Take care, Leah.
Rinza leaves. Scene 4. It's a different day. Leah waters the hanging plant, which has blossoms. She puts down the watering can and sits on the porch. The vase of lilacs has been replaced by peonies. She takes out a notebook and reads for a few beats.
I can't believe I didn't know this. I can't believe you didn't confide in me.
Lily comes around the side of the house and sits on the railing, swinging her legs.
Talking about it would have only made you feel bad.
Not talking about it made you feel bad. I never knew you wanted children.
You didn't want children. Alan didn't want them. Wanting them made me cliche.
It's not a cliche to be honest about what you want.
At the time, I wanted Alan. And anything else. The choice between having Alan and having kids. I chose Alan. They always told us marriage was a compromise. Look how much you've compromised.
This isn't about me.
Why not?
I don't know, but it's not.
You missed me, right?
Every minute of every day. I feel like a part of me's been torn away and will never heal.
Yeah, a part of you. You see? It's about you.
If I'd known you wanted children so badly.
What? You'd offer to have some?
No, I wouldn't have gone that far.
Good. Wanting to be a mother for me wouldn't have worked. You have to be a mother for you. And you don't.
I don't.
Yeah. And is that why you stayed with Darren? Because he wouldn't pressure you to change your mind about having kids?
No.
You know, Darren and Alan are a lot alike. They're probably why they've never gotten along.
Alike? They are completely different.
No, they both need to be the center of their partner's attention. I wish I'd lived long enough to teach art at that summer camp. 6-year-olds in paint.
So messy. Oh.
Joyful! Oh, you told them I couldn't, didn't you? And why?
I found the letter confirming you as a teacher and I wrote to them. They'd already seen your obituary in the paper.
Well, that's that. It's not like I can teach from here.
Spirit painting. Didn't they do that in Victorian times?
I think that was automatic writing. Same principle, though. At least there's... You're not into grifting. Did you find my sketches?
Yes, I'm trying to figure out what to do about them. If I should say anything...
Darren enters from around the studio.
Say anything about what?
Nothing, just thinking out loud. I didn't hear the car.
Well, you weren't home when I got there. I figured you were still here. I cut across the preserve. I figured we can drive back together.
I was going to stay a little bit
It's
longer.
getting late.
It's still light.
It does that in the summer.
It'll be solstice soon. I used to love staying up at night on the solstice, dancing in the garden.
We should do something for the solstice.
Like what?
I don't know. Have a picnic out here? Stay up all night since it's the shortest night of the year? Lily loved the solstice.
I don't remember you doing anything for the solstice with her.
I haven't, not since we got married.
So why? A final farewell? That makes sense. We can talk about it on the way home.
Like I said, Darren and Alan need to be the center of their partner's attention.
Scene 5. A new day. Leah is sweeping the porch. Lily sits on the railing again.
I mean, I started doing sketches just for fun.
You were serious about drawing and painting when we were growing up. You were an art major.
Which taught me I didn't have what it takes to be a painter or a sculptor. And then I met Alan.
Did he discourage you from your art?
Well, he didn't encourage it. He was the one with the talent, the vision.
The gallery owner willing to represent him?
Well, yeah, Renza saw Alan's work in a group show and pulled him right out for representation.
That was during my graduate work in London, wasn't it?
Weren't you dating that hot British guy?
I'll have you know I dated several hot British guys while I was in London.
Ah, the one you really liked. You almost married him. What was his name? Basil.
How British is that?
Basil with the motorcycle, whose family lived in that big house. Where was it?
Cornwall?
Ah, Cornwall, right. Just like those Daphne du Maurier novels. You guys saw a lot of Europe in those 2 years.
Oh, we did. We traveled every chance we had. Paris, Vienna, Berlin, Florence, Amsterdam.
Of course, Amsterdam.
The only time I ever tried hashish. And Scotland and Mallorca, and we even went to Casablanca one time.
Oh, because you love the movie so much. I thought you were really going to marry him.
So did I.
Then Alan and I would have had an excuse to visit you in Cornwall.
If you could pry Alan out of the studio.
I'd convince him it would give him inspiration for more paintings. Even if he hadn't come, I would have visited.
You'd visit the house that inspired du Maurier's Rebecca. You could have gotten married there, except you ran off and married Alan while I was in England.
You sound like you resented it.
I would have liked to attend my younger sister's wedding.
We eloped in the spur of the moment.
The whole relationship happened on the spur of the moment. I wish we had discussed before you just went away for the weekend and came back married.
Your overprotectiveness was stifling at times.
Is that why you married Alan?
I married Alan because I loved him. I married him fast because I didn't want you to try to talk me out of it.
If you could have been talked out of it.
I needed to leave home. I needed to create my own home.
I always imagined you'd come to visit me in England, and then we'd travel to Paris, and you would stay there, have a studio with skylights, and create beautiful paintings, fall in love with a Frenchman.
You know I hate the scent of cigarettes.
Oh, but the wine would be great, and the men.
Men in cities were your thing. I wanted to play in the dirt, grow pretty flowers, sketch the flowers and their imaginary friends, love Alan. I got to do all those things. I know how lucky I am. I'm grateful. So, why didn't you? Mary Basil, you mumbled something about incompatibility when you came home, and I never believed it.
It was fear.
Was he cruel?
No, he was kind and smart and funny. That's what scared the hell out of me. I was too terrified to marry him.
Oh, Leah.
Plus, if I'd married him, I would have been obligated to have children. Carry on the family line, you know?
Did you ever talk about it?
He said we could work it out, but I knew that to him it meant changing my mind.
You came home, met Darren in a bar.
And here we are. At least it wasn't a shotgun wedding.
Have you kept up with Basil's life?
I look at the website of the family home. It's a destination now for weddings and holiday rentals. He's got a lovely English rose of a wife and 6 lovely, perfect children.
You dodged a bullet there.
I guess I did.
Sound of a car. Lily slides off the rail and vanishes around the side of the house. Rinza enters with Selena.
I didn't want to call because I wanted the element of surprise.
Which I told her was a bad idea.
Leah, this is Selena. She's the person I think could help Alan. She's a psychic.
A psychic? Seriously? No offense.
Don't worry, I'm used to it.
Okay.
Wow. This is why I didn't tell you.
How does this work?
Well, I don't need a table and candles, at least not yet. I'd like to see the paintings that Alan keeps creating.
He's in there, but I don't know if he can be disturbed.
You won't even notice.
Scene 6. Inside Alan's studio. The walls are filled with large canvas paintings of Lily dancing among the fall foliage. The same painting over and over and over again. Alan is painting at his easel. Rinza enters with Selena and Leah.
Wow.
The view out back is spectacular.
I don't think that's what she meant.
Hi, Alan.
This tells me a lot.
I'm working.
This is Selena. She's here to help.
I already have a therapist.
She can help with Lily.
Unless she's a necromancer, there's not much she can do.
Not a necromancer, but I do talk with the dead.
You talk to the dead?
With them.
They answer?
Well, it wouldn't be much of a conversation if they didn't.
Huh.
If we could have the room,
I'm not sure that's a good idea.
I like to get to know my client a little.
We'll be fine, Leah.
I'm a grown-up, Leah. Even if I don't always act like one.
Leah and Rinza leave.
These are amazing.
I haven't captured it perfectly yet. The moment, that last afternoon where Lily and I were deliriously happy.
Before she got in the car.
For milk. Pointless. So how does this work? You need to cast a salt circle, light a few candles.
At least you didn't assume a Ouija board was involved.
The last time I even saw a Ouija board, I must have been about 13. What do? You summon her, she tells me something soothing, placating, and we're done?
I don't have to summon her. She's here.
Here? Now?
Not in the room.
Thank God for that. I don't think I can handle that.
I felt your presence earlier in the garden.
She loved the garden. Instead of painting on canvas, she painted with plants.
What do you hope to achieve by capturing that perfect moment? Surely it's in your memory. You won't forget it.
I wanted to be on the record for posterity. We had a fight that day.
Is that why she went out for milk?
Yeah. She was so excited about teaching at that summer camp this year. I thought it was a silly idea, too much time.
Too much time away from you.
We decided not to have kids. Why teach them?
Because it made her happy.
I made her happy.
That's a lot of ego. And far too much responsibility for any one person to be the sole reason for anyone else's happiness.
She was mine. I was hers.
Your painting makes you happy. Lily shared the burden of your responsibility for your happiness and with your painting. What did you share it with?
I don't know. I don't know what Lily did when I painted.
Didn't she talk about it?
I didn't listen.
Scene 7. Back up on the porch, Brenda is in the yard looking at a series of sketches.
These are good. I mean, really good.
They are.
There's a sense of joy and whimsy to them. Very much not Alan's style.
That's because he didn't do them.
Who's the artist? I want to meet them.
The name is woven into the sketch. Look closely.
Can you give me a hint?
I want you to discover it for yourself.
L-I-L. Lily did these?
She did.
I had no idea she was an artist.
She decided not to pursue it professionally when she married Alan.
She's very good and very different. They appeal to two completely different audiences, not to mention working in different mediums. I mean, Alan made some sketches for his paintings. She did the sketch for Solstice Bonfire?
Alan changed the details in the painting, but this is the sketch he used. I saw it in the studio while he worked on the painting.
Still, wow. Are these the only ones?
Sketches he used as a basis for painting? There are more.
She shouldn't have stopped her own work.
It was part of the deal.
What deal?
Being married to Alan.
I can't believe he wouldn't let her. I mean, she was a grown woman.
You know, Alan. You know.
I want to talk to Alan about showing these.
Lily creeps around the side of the house, watching.
You don't need to.
About whether he'd let me show the sketches beside the finished paintings, show the journey. About whether he'd let us show some of Lily's other work, maybe sell some of it.
You don't need to.
Why not?
She left them to me.
Sketches, all of them?
Everything. The sketches, letters, her notebooks. Alan has some sketches she made for him and gave him over the years, but the rest are mine now. The will's been through probate. Alan didn't even contest it.
Did he know?
He was there when the will was read.
Was he paying attention?
What do you think?
Don't tell me you've suddenly grown a conscience, Renzo. Not now.
Would Leah or Lily want these shown?
Yes.
I have to... How'd it go?
Is he okay?
He's thinking about it.
Do you think he'll agree?
Eventually. I'd like to come back and talk to him again. And talk to you.
Me?
You.
Okay.
Want to do it now?
No, I need to go over a few things first. Don't worry, I can get here by myself.
No, it's not. I mean, thanks.
Nice meeting you, Leah.
Same.
And I'll talk to you in a few days about what we talked about, okay?
Fine.
Brenda and Selena exit.
Bye, Lily.
Scene 8. The peonies have been replaced with Irish brooms. Leah sorting Lily's sketches into piles using small, smooth stones to make sure they don't fly away.
I don't know whether to sort by date or by theme.
Keep the notebooks separate. I just sketched in the diary entries whenever it was on my mind that day.
I don't want to rip anything out of the notebook, so yeah, that makes sense. I'll sort the loose sketches by theme. I have to ask Renza how to copy the ones in the books without tearing them out.
Oh, maybe you can ask an art restorer at one of the museums or over at the college.
Maybe. I notice you don't suggest I ask Alan.
You know what he's like when he's working.
Is that the only reason?
Yeah, he doesn't really know I kept sketching, like this.
He didn't want you to be creative?
Maybe if I, he wouldn't have had an issue with it if I'd been a writer or a photographer or a dancer.
He knew you were good. He was afraid you were better than he is.
I'm not.
It's apples and oranges anyway. Renza said so. She said you'd appeal to 2 different audiences. But Alan didn't want you to have an audience.
Can we not talk about this right now? I have an eternity to figure this out.
Yeah, point taken.
Darren enters, Lily retreats.
Talking to yourself again?
Oh, that way I know someone's listening.
Ouch. I was hoping we could go over to Jamie's tonight and have a few beers. They've got a live band.
Maybe later? I want to finish this.
I don't think you have to take on any more of Alan's organizational work.
Take a look.
Wow, these are terrific. Not Alan's usual style. Might get a broader audience, though.
They're not Alan's.
If they're not. You mean these are Lily's? I didn't know she was an artist.
They're good, right?
They're beautiful, playful. I mean, I don't have much patience with art, and I like them. What does Alan plan on doing with them? I bet they'd bring a pretty penny at auction, along with a story behind them.
No decisions have been made yet.
Well, Alan will want to do what's best financially. He may be inhaling too much turpentine, but he and Renza are always smart about the business.
It's not a... Alan's lucky to have Renza.
Which is why the threat of losing Renza will kick his ass into gear. I don't want to talk about this right now. I want to go and relax with a little with some beer and some live music.
You go ahead. I'll join you when I'm finished here.
Will you, or will you be too tired?
Grief is exhausting, Darren. If I'm too tired, I will text you and stay home. I'm sure plenty of your friends will be there.
I don't want to argue with you.
Then don't argue. There are plenty of times I give in because I'm too tired to argue with you.
It would be good for you to get out of here. Just get away from this oppressive atmosphere.
Oppressive. Look around. Look at this beautiful garden.
It's a tune that smells good. Did Renza ever bring that person by? The one she thought could help?
Yes, her name is Selena. I thought I told you this.
I don't remember. Selena? Is she a different kind of therapist?
She's a psychic.
Oh, what? How much is she taking him for?
What if it works?
You believe in all that mumbo jumbo?
Does it matter as long as it helps
Hey.
him?
Ooh, I'm getting better at this.
What was that?
What was what?
Never mind.
Looks like you need a relaxing night out more than I do.
Will you join me later, please?
Yes.
Okay. See you later. Love you.
Watch out for that root.
I didn't see... Oh, never mind.
Love you too.
Scene 9. Lily is on the porch. This is the next day, looking at the garden. The sound of a car. Darren enters.
Leah! Leah!
She's not here.
Leah! Leah!
Alan comes out of the studio.
Where is she?
Leah? I don't know. She's usually out here on the porch.
Not today.
Then where is she?
I don't know.
She's always here.
I'm not hiding her.
Wouldn't surprise me if you were.
What's that supposed to mean?
Never mind. I don't know. Where could she be?
At work?
I called over at the library. She's not there.
You tried her cell?
Yes, I tried her cell over and over and over again.
Is there a reason you're so worried?
I need to know where she is.
Maybe she's out with a friend, taking a break.
She needs to take a break from all this.
I know.
She needs to be done with this. With you.
What are you talking about?
Do you have any idea how much she does for you every damn day?
Yes, and I'm grateful.
No, you're not. You're taking advantage of her. Lily's not here to pick up after you, and you pay attention to your every waking moment.
Well, actually,
So you're using Leah as a replacement.
I'm what?
Leah is my wife, not yours. That's not going to change.
Leah enters with a suitcase.
Plenty of things are changing.
Leah, where have you been? Why don't you answer your phone? Do you have any idea how worried I've been about you?
Alan, could I stay for a few days until I get things sorted out in the guest room?
Sure, take any room you want. I'm sleeping in the studio most nights anyway.
What are you talking about? Staying here? You'll stay in our home.
No, I am not staying under the same roof as you.
Oh, come on. You're blowing everything out of proportion.
Come out. It'll be good for you. So I do come out, and what do I see? You playing tonsil hockey with a woman in the bar.
Tonsil hockey?
Oh, come on. It was nothing. A slip between two people who had a little too much to drink.
It is something to me. And really, Cora Davis? Bad enough you do it publicly in a place where we both spent a lot of time. But Cora Davis?
Just be glad it wasn't one of your friends.
You should walk away now.
You don't need to intervene, Alan.
You've done enough. If it wasn't for you, Leah wouldn't be here so much. And last night wouldn't have happened.
Don't you dare try to shift the blame for last night onto me or Alan. It was your choice.
Well, then let's talk about it and fix it.
I do not want to be around you right now.
Give her some time and space, Darren. Stop breathing down her neck all the time.
I better not catch you anywhere near a part of her anatomy.
She's my sister-in-law.
I can't see that stopping you.
I'm not you, Darren.
Uh-oh. Darren?
Did you really think Lily wouldn't tell me?
Darren, no.
I was drunk, and you were at that library conference in Washington.
Trying to shift the blame again with my sister?
Hey, she slapped me. She threatened me in the nuts.
I would have.
She would have.
We agreed not to tell anyone, to act like it never happened.
I see you didn't have an issue with that.
Lily tried to hide it, but I know her. I knew she was upset. I thought Renzo or someone at one of the gallery shows had made her uncomfortable. I didn't think it would be you.
It was one bad decision.
Paired with last night, I'm seeing a pattern, and that's just the ones I know about.
It's not a pattern.
How many other bad decisions are walking around out there? Damn it, Darren, you know how I feel about this stuff. You know how our father's cheating wrecked my mother and how it affected Lily and me, and you do this? Get out of my sight.
We need to talk about this. Work it out.
Not right now.
Please go, Darren. Give her some breathing room.
Oh, don't pretend you're so pure. You can't tell me that you never...
Not since the day I met Lily.
Oh, I knew you never cheated on me after we were married, but I had no idea it was when we met.
I think you're lying.
I don't care what you think. Now, please get off my property and stop hassling my sister-in-law.
My wife!
But not your property. Leave me alone, Darren.
For how long?
I don't know.
Darren leaves.
Is there more luggage in the car?
A couple more suitcases, some bags.
I'll get them.
Alan exits.
So sorry, sweetie.
Yeah, well,
Alan returns with 2 suitcases, a tote bag, and a backpack.
I'll take them in. Don't worry. Don't worry about anything right now.
Alan exits into the house with the luggage. Scene 10. Leah is on the porch. It's a different day. There are more potted plants blooming on the porch. The garden is brighter. Selena enters.
Hello, Leah. I hope this isn't a bad time.
Selena, I didn't hear a car.
Well, I had the taxi drop me off at the end of the driveway, and I walked up.
Would you like something to drink? Lemonade? Iced tea? A cocktail?
Lemonade's fine.
Be right back.
Oh, not around today.
Leah returns carrying a tray with 2 glasses of lemonade and a plate of cookies.
Well, thank you. How is it?
Working.
Still on the fall foliage paintings of Lily?
Yes.
How are you doing?
I think I'm getting better, day by day. Accepting that Lily is dead, she was my younger sister. I was supposed to protect her. Alan was supposed to protect her. We both failed.
Lily's accident is not your failure.
Fate?
No, just the way things work sometimes. It's not always fair. You're staying here for the moment, Renza told me.
Yeah, Alan's kind enough to let me stay.
Your family.
It wasn't just what happened in the bar.
It never just is.
It's been building for years. I didn't want to face it.
And then Lily died.
I was so smug, you know? I married a successful guy and we had all this stuff. He earned a lot of money, so it was okay if my job didn't bring in that much. I could buy books and knit and work at a job I love at the library, go to conferences and spend time with my sister. I liked to tell myself that my marriage was better than hers. I didn't give up my art, step back, let my husband shine. I didn't devote my life to running the daily details of existence so he could be some great artist. But slowly, Slowly, I gave away pieces of myself. I diminished myself to make my husband comfortable. I want to be the person I was before I got married.
But you've changed.
Well, I don't want to be in my 20s again. Surviving that once was enough. And I've learned a lot over the years, but I want my sense of adventure back. My sense that I have the skills to try new things, the capacity to learn, not start something and then have to retreat because my husband doesn't like that it takes time away from him. I didn't notice it was happening, inch by inch. I'm a boiled frog.
As long as you're trying to be you and not trying to fulfill things Lily didn't have a chance to do before she died.
I want to be myself again and grow into more of myself. As far as what Lily didn't get to do, I am not going to start wearing sundresses and dancing in the meadows. That's very Lily. That is not me. But I want the world to see her sketches and her art.
Renza will be happy to hear that.
She will, won't she? Are you sure you're not a therapist?
Well, I minored in psychology in college, majored in mythology and folklore.
So how'd you get into psychic work?
Well, I was always comfortable with the dead. Even as a child, I felt compassion for ghosts and spirits, not fear. Integrated with my studies, it made sense.
Is it hard to get people to take you seriously?
Well, how they respond is up to them. I do my work, I stay true to my core beliefs and values, I do my best I can to help people.
That makes sense. What did you want to talk to me about?
Have you been talking to Lily as you sort through her things?
Yes. I mean, I don't see her ghost or anything, but I talk to her, or to my own subconscious. Is that weird? To do it and not know if it's Lily or just my imagination of what Lily would say in the situation?
It doesn't matter, as long as you get answers.
Some of them surprise me.
Well, then you're making progress in your grief.
Scene 11. It's a different day in the early evening. Leah sits on the porch, a manila envelope in her lap. There's knitting bag beside her with yarn and needles sticking out. Alan exits the studio and goes into the house and comes out with 2 beers.
Here you go. I'm starting to enjoy this nightly ritual.
Thank you.
Are Lily's journals upsetting you?
Oh, Lily's journals are wonderful. You sure you don't want to read them?
No. I can't bear the thought of reading her insight into my imperfections. What's in the envelope?
Proof.
Not.
Yes, part of me knew and ignored it. Remember when Lily and I went on that yoga retreat?
I heard about nothing else for weeks when you came back. Lily insisted on planting lotus.
When we got back, I found an earring in the corner of the bathroom near the shower. I confronted Darren. He admitted it.
I'm sorry.
Before we married, we made an agreement. We weren't going to have kids, and fidelity was part of the deal.
Deal? Marriage isn't a business. Yeah, you make
Oh,
compromises.
Lily did more than make compromises. She gave up her dream of having children and of being a professional artist.
It wouldn't have worked to have both of us in the business.
Those were compromises you were not willing to make.
But Lily was.
Marriage is a legal contract, as well as being about love and romance. Darren broke it, but he begged for another chance.
Did Lily encourage you to give him one?
No, I didn't tell her. I felt like a failure. I gave Darren another chance. I suspected sometimes that he wasn't keeping his word. I chose to look the other way, and now this, right in front of me. Darren and I don't have typical fights. We just do whatever's most likely to open the biggest wound. We used to make each other laugh the way you and Lily laughed. I miss that.
Lily or I should have told you he made a pass at her. She was afraid you wouldn't believe her.
I would have said I didn't believe her. I would have raged at her, but I would have known it was true.
What now?
I'm filing for divorce. There's no coming back this time. If I don't hold this boundary, he'll do it to me any time he wants to hurt me. I won't turn into my mother, destroyed by my father's cheating.
I'm sorry.
While he's at work, I packed up and moved stuff out of the house, especially the books. I can just picture him putting all my first editions in the fire pit and throwing in a match.
Do you need help? I should have offered.
Oh, I'm almost done. There are a lot of boxes in your dining room right now. I'll rent a place near the library or put things in storage.
You can stay here as long as you like.
Thank you, but I need to be out on my own.
I'll help you move all those boxes wherever you say. I'd like to pay you for what you've done, for what you continue doing. When you're ready to stop, maybe you'll help me find an assistant?
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's temporary, I promise. I don't want you to get into a rut. I let Lily get into a rut of building her life around mine, and it was unfair. Now it's too late to fix it.
But we should talk about what I found in her journals.
Not yet, okay? Maybe one day, but not yet.
Okay.
You found her knitting.
Oh, actually, this is mine.
Oh, I thought I recognized the yarn.
We were working on matching projects. Lily had this idea of us wearing matching oversized sweaters. She had me design one set in cotton for warmer weather and one set in heavier yarns for winter.
There's an alpaca farm a few miles down the road.
We got some of our yarn from them. We should go back to work.
I don't want to abandon you. How often did I leave Lily to deal with something because all I could think about was if I should use phthalo blue or Prussian blue?
Alan, go back to work. I'll sit out here just a little bit longer.
Okay.
Alan goes back into his studio. Leah puts aside the manila envelope. She takes out the knitting and tries to start. After a moment, she's overcome with emotion. She puts it down, takes a deep breath, and tries again.
I haven't seen you or felt you around lately, Lily. Did Selena scare you? She's kinder than I expected.
Leah starts knitting. After a few beats, her rhythm gets smoother. There's a sound of a car. Basil enters.
I hope you don't mind that I just showed up.
Oh, Basil!
End of Act 1. Act 2, Scene 1.
In the flesh, you're not easy to track down. Haven't you heard of social media?
I have no reason to be on social media.
You look fantastic. You are always an old soul.
Now I'm in an old body.
No, you've grown into yourself. It's beautiful.
Thanks. Why are you here? Oh, wait. Come, sit down. Can I get you something?
Beer's fine.
I'll be right back.
While Leah's in the house, Basil looks around the garden and looks to the studio. Leah returns with 2 beers. She has freshened her lipstick.
The great,
Sit down.
the great painter at work over here?
Oh, that's a story in itself. Why are you here? I mean, I'm thrilled to see you, but we haven't been in contact for nearly 15 years.
I was worried about you. I read about Lily's death. I know how close you were.
It made the British papers?
The wife of a highly regarded artist dies in a car smash. Yes, it made the papers. Besides, my wife used to work at Sotheby's. She sold quite a few Alan Kellers over the years.
Oh, thank you. It's been hard.
I was going to write a letter, but Emma said, just go see her. Maybe you can help.
How did you find me?
Renzo Rossi.
Alan's gallery owner?
Yes, she represents Pamela Gallaglass and Jose Franklin, both of whom Emma and I collect. I knew she handled Alan's work, so I got in touch, and she said you lived in the same town and you were working to help Alan.
When our parents died, Lily and I did all the paperwork together, but now
What about her husband, Alan?
he's painting. Oh, I remember that.
Not my business.
Well, that never stopped you before.
Emma's a good influence on me.
How are your children?
Wonderful. Growing up fast.
I bet you're a great dad.
Never as good as I hoped to be, but I try.
You took over the family's estate.
Yeah, and the title. I'm in the Viscount business now. Doesn't seem possible.
You always knew you'd have to step in at some point.
I always thought it would be when I was older. Now I'm older than I ever expected.
Aren't we all? Do you still ride the motorcycle?
Only occasionally. More horses than hogs now, I'm afraid. The estate stables are popular. My eldest daughter is determined to make the Olympic equestrian team someday.
Good for her.
I'm proud of her.
Your estate's open to the public now, isn't it?
Yes. We kept a massive amount of living space for ourselves, more than most in our position would have.
Well, with 6 kids, you'd have to.
But there's an entire wing that's used just for holiday rentals and big events, like weddings. You'd think Emma had enough to do keeping us all sorted, but she's brilliant at arranging everything else, too.
Which leaves you strolling around being a viscount.
Well, I do most of the photography for the website, and write the marketing copy, all that. I wrote up the ghost stories and history of the estate, had them printed in little books, which garner quite a lot of sales in the gift shop. We didn't want the house to feel like a museum, so we converted one of the outbuildings into a museum. We've got a tea shop on the grounds, a gift shop, and a full-scale restaurant. We earned our first Michelin star last year.
That sounds wonderful.
I never thought I'd like this life, but I do. People who visit are interesting. I mean, some of them are perfectly hard, but then if they try to book again, they discover we are perpetually full and have no room for them. Renza mentioned that you're married.
About to get divorced.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's just say that Lily's death opened my eyes to a few things.
Well, death can be a catalyst.
Or in my case, a wake-up call.
Are you going to chuck it all in, take a cargo ship around the world, and go skydiving?
Oh, nothing that extreme, but I would like to find out what makes me happy.
I hope you haven't been miserable all these years.
No, at least not at first. But I feel as though I've been shrinking.
Then it's best to cut loose. Your partner should make you expand in the best possible ways, not diminish. Do you still work with books?
I'm the reference librarian for the town's library.
Ah, brilliant. You always loved books. I figured you'd be a librarian, or work in a storied archive, or be a rare book dealer, or a rare book thief.
I still have that book. In fact, it's in a box in the dining room.
I still can't believe we got away with it. After consuming all that alcohol, the gods smiled on us that night.
Wait here.
Leah returns with a small leather-bound book with gilded edges.
Here it is.
Annie Besant's The Doctrine of the Heart, published in 1914. We used to sit and debate these writings for hours. Whether Annie was unhinged in her fascination for Helena Blavatsky and yoga.
With lots of alcohol. Besides, look how mainstream yoga's become. We were ahead of the curve.
I would have bought you a copy.
I wanted this copy, especially since Dickie McGregor was such a dick about it. He didn't deserve a beautiful copy of a book by a woman for whom he only had contempt.
I'm glad you kept it.
I doubt he even realized I'd stolen it from his father's study. I was terrified, though, every time we saw Dickie at the pub, that he would figure it out and have me arrested.
He would never. He adored you.
You loathed me.
That was his way of showing affection.
That is seriously messed up.
Oh, that's how we were taught.
You never did that.
I was a bad pupil.
Whatever happened to Dickie?
He got drunk and fell off a cliff in Curie, Greece.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It was only about a year or two after you left.
He's been gone a long time. I guess I could stop being mad at him now.
These are gorgeous.
They're lilies.
I didn't know she was an artist.
She gave it up when she married Alan. Renza thinks they're commercial.
They're all kinds of wonderful. That can translate to commercial.
I don't want to destroy them or give up the originals.
Oh, get prints made of the sketches. You can sell numbered prints. Or make books out of them, or license some of the images. If you don't think some of them on a tea towel or a ceramic platter is blasphemous.
Oh, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Oh, Renza would know who could create the prints. I can put you in touch with the people who supply our gift shop with merchandise made from photos and sketches around the estate. We interviewed quite a lot of different companies before we found one with whom we felt comfortable.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, if I can save you some pain and frustration, I'm happy to help.
I always felt like I was a cause of a lot of pain and frustration for you.
You encouraged me to be adventurous.
I did? I always thought it was the other way round.
I would have been a very dull boy if I hadn't wanted to show off for you so much.
And there I was, pushing myself out of my comfort zone because I was afraid you would think I was boring.
You are never boring.
Oh, I've dulled down over the years.
I don't believe that.
Do you remember that time when we
You
were...
are cactus.
Yes, that.
Scene 2. Later that night.
The stars are beautiful out here.
Don't tell me you can't see stars from that estate of yours.
You have to trot pretty far down in the gardens to get away from the floodlights. It's spectacular from the bench in the middle of the hedge maze, though.
You have a hedge maze?
It's been there for a couple of centuries now.
I don't remember it. One would think I would remember a hedge maze.
We were a little preoccupied. And we only stopped in to see the parents for lunch on the way to the ferry to France.
Oh, I'm glad I saw Paris with you.
Have you been back?
No.
I should get back to the motel. It's after 2 a.m.
I could make up a guest room for you. Alan won't mind.
No, that's okay. I'll come back tomorrow with the vendor information.
How long can you stay?
Not long. A big society wedding coming up at the estate. Would rather avoid it, but truth needs must.
To the children.
They love running around the estate in summer. I'm sure I'll return to some broken bones.
To Emma.
Yes.
Why did you come here, Basil? Why did you track me down?
Because I was worried about you.
After 15 years?
Is that so difficult to believe?
Frankly, yes. I always thought of you as the one who got away.
Really? Because it was you who left me.
I considered that a preemptive strike.
You lost me.
That's why I left.
Don't. Just say what you mean.
I knew you were destined for the life you have now. You loved the estate, you wanted a family. I didn't. Deep down, you believed I would change my mind. I knew I wouldn't. That would have torn us apart.
I wish you'd have let me be part of the conversation you had in your head before you made the decision.
Would it have changed the result?
We might have still broken up, but I was part of the relationship. I should have been part of the decision.
I was young.
24, not 14.
It would have been statutory if I'd been 14.
Now you know what I mean.
I knew my own mind enough to know I wasn't going to change my mind about having children. Even though everyone kept telling me that I would, I couldn't find a doctor to get a hysterectomy. That should be my choice, not society's choice, based on imaginary children I'll never have.
What if you'd gotten pregnant?
I would have had an abortion.
Would you have told me about it?
Yes, maybe. I hope so.
But even if I wanted a child, you wouldn't have kept it.
I would not have.
But you didn't.
No, I give you my word on that. We were reckless in many things, but we were careful in that.
My mom was sure you'd get pregnant, so I'd have to marry you.
Well, at least something good came out of my refusal to have children. You were able to find the right partner. Emma is the right partner, isn't she?
She is. She is the love of my life. You were my first love. I've had other girlfriends.
Quite a few of them, if I remember the outcry when we got together.
But you were the first woman I was ever in love with.
And is that why you're here?
Yes.
To have one last fling with your first love?
No. I'm not here to cheat on Emma or to help you hurt your husband with revenge sex, which, knowing you as I do, would hurt you more. I was in love with you once. When you left, I was hurt and angry, but I still cared. I still care.
Even though you haven't been in touch for 15 years.
I didn't know how. Every time I started to compose a letter, it felt wrong. But when I heard your sister died, all I could think of was how much pain you must be in. You talked about Lily with such luminosity.
She was the light of all our lives. She was smart and funny and loving, kind. She forgave everything. Everyone fell in love with her as soon as they met her. And that's why I never let the two of you meet.
Because she was a good person?
Because if you met her, you would fall in love with her like everyone did. You would choose her and forget about me, like everyone did. Because when I was beside her, all anyone could see was her perfection and my flaws.
You trusted me so little.
Anytime someone met Lily, I just faded into the background. It wasn't malicious on her part. It was just who we are.
Why can't you see what a vibrant, wonderful woman you are? I wouldn't have left you for Lily, even if I'd been attracted to her. Dumping you to be with your sister is inappropriate.
It happens.
It's not something I do. Besides, wasn't she already with Alan?
Lily wanted children. You wanted children.
Again, you create scenarios that have nothing to do with me. It's your fantasy version of a me I would thoroughly despise if I met him, and despise even more if I was him.
Lily gave up her dream of having children when she married Alan. Alan got a vasectomy the month before the wedding. Lily gave up her dream of children to keep the man she loved. I would have to give up my dream of not having children to keep the man I loved.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Do you know why I married Darren?
I hope there was love involved.
There was, at least at the beginning. Darren made me feel special, like a prized possession. I didn't realize how literal that would become. He made me laugh. He didn't expect me to change my mind about having children.
Sounds like a good foundation.
The one thing I told him was non-negotiable was fidelity. He'd gotten a vasectomy too. That was my wedding present.
I would have rather had the silver soup tureen, but each his own.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to dump all of this on you or sound like I blame you for my bad choices.
That's why I came over, to help you. If this is helping,
I think it is.
your choices might not be what you want now, but you did the best you could with the information at the time. You think of yourself as passive, but you're really not. Your husband might try to clip your wings, but he can't clip your soul.
Oh, he would if he could, although he doesn't see it that way.
But you won't let him because you're strong.
I don't feel strong.
You don't see it, you don't realize it because you're so busy doing. You always had wonderful ideas. We'd all sit around the pub and throw out ideas, but you were the one who got us to do things.
I always thought you were the catalyst.
I tried to jump on the ideas first because I didn't want to get left behind.
Weird. I don't remember it that way at all.
You made the decision to study in England, and you did it. You made the decision to come back home. You did it. You married, you found a career you loved. You were always Lily's rock. I remember crisis after crisis while you were in England. You solved Lily's problems from thousands of miles away.
I was just being a sister.
Now, here you are. You've had enough of your husband's philandering, so you're doing something about it. Your sister died. There's all this administrative work to do in the aftermath. You're the one doing it. Do you not see how amazing you are?
All I see is a hot mess.
May I suggest an appointment with your optometrist?
Maybe it should be with my therapist.
I'm British. I would never suggest that. I'm going back to the motel to get some sleep. Why don't I stop by in the late morning tomorrow? Well, today, actually. We can look through Lily's sketches. I can give you some idea of what's worked for us when it comes to note cards, mugs, tea towels, and the like.
That would be great. Thank you.
As leaves.
Me? Strong?
Scene 3. Alan's studio continues to paint.
Aren't you bored? One of the things I loved about your work is that you weren't afraid to try new things. You could go from being a Catalano wannabe, pleasing the tourists, to abstract impressionism, to figurative, sometimes all on the same day.
Alan keeps painting.
But this is just creepy.
Alan finishes the canvas, puts it aside. He picks up a fresh ghetto canvas, puts it on the easel, and starts painting.
Do the lilacs this time? Oh, how about a portrait of Leah? She doesn't realize she's beautiful. No, not again. I wish I was one of those ghosts who could pick things up and move them around. I'd take a knife and I'd shred all these paintings. You're better than this, Alan.
Really? Sometimes I almost feel as though she's here.
Scene 4. Leah is on the porch. She has notebooks and piles of sketches organized on a long table in front of the porch steps. Lily has joined her.
Color! You're wearing something with more color!
Yeah, well, summer.
You look great in that! I always said you should wear more color.
Color was always your thing.
Anyway, you look wonderful.
You haven't been around much lately.
No, I've been, actually I don't know where I've been. Or what I've been doing. You have to stop Alan from painting the last summer afternoon over and over and over again.
Why don't you stop him?
He doesn't pay attention to me. I don't know if he can't hear me, or he's doing that usual Alan thing where he ignores anything outside the canvas in front of him.
Were you lonely?
Sometimes. But then you and Darren moved to town and we could do things together.
What about your other friends?
It was really hard to make friends when your husband's famous. And you can't tell if someone wanted to be a friend with you or just use you as a conduit to close to him. I felt safer with you. I always feel safe with you.
Basil was here last night.
You should have kissed him.
He's coming back today.
You should kiss him.
He's married.
They never stop daring.
Basil loves his wife. Again, Darren. I don't understand that kind of love.
Sound of a car. Basil enters.
Good morning.
Good morning. Did you sleep well?
Every time I sleep in a bed not my own, I compare it to the beds we use in the holiday lets.
How did it measure up?
Ours are better. Emma suggested that as soon as you've dealt with all the paperwork and other folder all around here, you come and stay with us for a fortnight as our guest. Get some rest.
Leah, you have to go. How many times have we discussed that you have to learn to accept kindness?
That's a very generous offer. I'll think about it.
Please do. We'd love to have you stay. You could use a break, and you and Emma would like each other.
Probably.
She often teases me that if you hadn't trained me up properly, she never would have married me.
What does that even mean?
Well, we're still friends with some of the old crowd and get together with them. Well, usually they come to the estate and stay for a bit, although we've managed to get away to Mallorca a few times and even Corfu.
And for me, getting into Boston is a big deal.
Troy, Elliot, Melissa. Troy married Melissa, you know.
Oh, I figured they'd get together eventually, from the way they always annoyed each other.
They're happy most of the time. Elliot married a French girl.
Girl?
A woman, sorry.
Oh.
And anyway, she's lovely.
They all have kids, too?
Yes, Troy and Melissa have 2. Elliot and Dominique have 3. Our kids are all growing up together as a pack. As parents, we are seriously outnumbered.
That sounds great. But what does any of that have to do with me?
Oh, you know how it is. We get together, have a few drinks, tell stories.
Don't Emma and Dominique feel left out?
Well, they have plenty of stories of their own. They had adventures before they settled down with us. So we drink, tell stories, and you, of course, are a big part of the stories.
I'm there even when I'm not? That's a little disturbing.
You had an impact. You matter.
Troy and Elliot adored you. They were quite put out when you chose me.
Ooh, some more of those hot British guys you dated.
And you and Melissa were friends.
Only when we were all in the group. We didn't spend much time together otherwise.
The point is, Emma's heard all the stories.
Numerous times, I'm sure.
And she's set me straight more than once. Although she loves the man I am now, she wouldn't have liked to far less married the man who I was before you and I met.
She cannot give me credit for the man you've become.
Well, after you left, I sputtered for a bit.
Oh, I'm sure you replaced me within the week.
I dated quite a bit, actually.
How many hearts did you have to break to deal with your own?
Are you okay?
Keep thinking I hear someone. My ear must be still mucked up from the plane, although usually I hear less, not more.
Is your estate haunted?
Well, there's been an edifice on the site for hundreds of years. People lived and they died.
Edifice, really?
The ghost stories are actually quite popular with tourists.
Ooh, those little books in the gift shop.
Have you ever experienced one? A ghost?
I've experienced things I can't explain. When I was a little boy, I thought I played with the ghosts, but Nanny explained that it was the old stories mixed with imaginary friends and only a child my age sometimes comes up with.
Nanny says.
Do you think you can stay till the solstice?
Scene 5. Leah and Renta are at the table on the porch.
You're sure they won't hurt the notebooks?
They know what they're doing.
I guess I'm also afraid that someone there will read the text between the words and maybe find something that doesn't paint Alan in a positive light.
Pun intended. Amazing how our subconscious works.
You haven't been to one of those workshops, so you can psychoanalyze your artists again, have you?
No, but if I thought it would help out.
Oh, we need to discuss this with Alan.
You're right.
Alan enters riding a brightly colored woman's bicycle with a bag in the front basket.
Alan, what are you doing riding Lily's bicycle.
I was out of cadmium orange. I figured I could get some air, some exercise, and my paint.
Oh, I wish I had my phone. I would take a picture.
Please do not post it on social media.
Why not? It's adorable. It humanizes
Great
him.
artists should remain enigmas.
Make that a meme. I'm sure it'll get tons of hits.
Are you starting something new?
Started a new painting last night.
I mean, different.
I haven't captured this.
You have. Too many times to count. I need something new from you, Alan.
You'll get it, Renza, but not yet.
I need a timeline.
I can't give you one.
I have an idea to carry us through this foliage period.
I need to get back to work.
I need you to listen to me, Alan.
I need to talk to you about something
Do
too.
we have to do this now?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
So I want to do an exhibit about your journey. The original sketches hung beside the finished works. The painting themselves are all sold, but we have the clause in the sales agreement, and that'll have them loaned back for the exhibition.
Lily's sketch.
That became your painting.
Are you accusing me of something?
No, these are two different mediums. The sketches have never been seen before, or even discussed. It would be a tribute to your partnership.
Or I'll be accused of stealing her work.
Is that what you did?
Not intentionally. Not really, but I'd look at her sketches and I'd see how the painting would look. I'd let the images speak to me as I painted them instead of trying to recreate the sketch.
Different ways of interpreting an image.
Well, her interpretation of it inspired my interpretation of it.
We can make this work. It's no secret that Lily was your main inspiration.
It's a way to honor her memory.
And buy us time while you work through this foliage phase.
I'm never going to get over losing Lily.
Oh, no one expects you to.
But you have to learn to live with the loss.
I remember when she drew this. We were on Front Street in Hamilton, Bermuda. We rented bicycles and rode around. She loved the colors on the buildings. The blue, the pink, the yellow. She stopped and sketched in pencil first. Later, when we got back to the room, she added in some color. We joked how the buildings looked like ice cream sorbets lined up in a row.
Wait, this sketch was the inspiration for Sorbet Emporium?
Yeah,
That painting that went from the light ice cream parlor theme leading into something dark and unknown?
yeah, I loved what she did with the colors, but as I painted, I wondered, what if they were the enticement leading to something much darker? It's not as though the colonial history of the island is upbeat.
I had no idea that could come from this.
Can't really explain it, it just is.
That's why it would be so fascinating to put the sketches and the paintings in a show together.
And I don't think anyone would consider that you stole her work to get to yours.
But the way your vision contradicts hers is fascinating.
Okay, whatever.
We'll make an appointment to go through the sketches and you can tell me what pairs with what. You can tell me the anecdotes behind each. I'll tape our interviews and have Macy, who does our copy, turn them into short behind the inspiration pieces to hang with them.
Great.
While we're on the subject of Lily's work, I need to talk to you about the rest of Lily's sketches.
Do we have to do this now?
Yes. I want to do a show of Lily's sketches.
That's what you're doing with the ones that inspired my paintings.
No, Lily's other sketches.
What other sketches?
These and these, they're whimsical and beautiful and deserve to be seen.
I had no idea she did all these.
She did them while you were in the studio and she was alone. Why didn't you encourage her work?
She did this for fun.
She had talent. Or did you only want one artist in the family?
The business is ruthless.
Obviously.
Renza can tell you.
Nope, not on me, friend.
I was afraid she'd be hurt.
So you hurt her first? By making her think she wasn't good enough?
She left them to you. Do whatever you want with them.
Alan exits.
Well, that went well.
You told him. You're not doing anything behind his back. Let's move on with the show.
We haven't discussed the merchandising with him.
You don't need to. You heard him. Just do whatever you want. Word of advice. Don't sign the contract for the merchandising until after your divorce. You don't want it to be part of your assets. Yeah, I know a thing or two about divorce. See you later.
Renza exits. Darren enters.
Are we ever going to talk about this?
I'm letting my lawyer do the talking. I personally have nothing to say to you.
Come home, Leah. I miss you.
You should have thought of that before sticking your tongue down Cora Davis's throat in public.
Oh, come on. We're not teenagers in high school
Yet
anymore.
there you are, making out in public. No, Darren, we are not teenagers. We're supposed to know better.
Look, I made a mistake.
You've been doing it for years, knowing how I felt about it, knowing that when, not if, but when I found out about it, how much it would hurt me.
You do whatever you want. We do whatever you want.
That's not true.
We moved here so you could be near Lily.
Yeah, well, that's not an issue anymore.
You want to move somewhere else? Name it. We'll go. Anywhere you want. I can transfer. I can start my own business. What do you want?
I'm fine here.
Then come home.
I'm fine without you.
Are you in love with Alan?
That is ridiculous.
You're living here with him.
In the guest room?
Your British boyfriend visiting you there at night? Do you think I wouldn't find out about it? It's a small town, Leah.
He's an old friend who came over for Lily's memorial service on the solstice.
What memorial service?
We're doing something to honor Lily and release her on the solstice. She loved the solstice. We talked about this, Darren.
What about the psychic?
She'll be here. We hope that'll finally make Alan let go.
We? You and your British boyfriend?
Renza and I. Don't tell me you think I have something going on with Renza, too. Unlike you, I don't have the time to go catting around. I'm too busy here.
We moved here so you could be close to Lily. You were worried about your younger sister.
Of course I was. I was off studying in England. She meets Alan and marries him right away. He stashes her here while he works. She was lonely.
The one time you leave her, she makes her own decision.
The one time I do something for myself, she goes off and gets married.
It's not like she was underage and kidnapped. She was an illegal adult when she met and married Alan. You always behaved as if you two were orphans and that you brought her up.
I practically did. Both our parents worked so hard to keep a roof over our heads, and all the time my father spent with those other women.
Marrying Alan was the only decision in your life, in her life, that you did not control. You've never forgiven her for it.
That's not true.
You think I've never noticed those small moments when you punished her, where you made fun of the way she danced barefoot in the grass, or how you called her the artist's little drudge instead of his muse? Do you know what that sounded like?
You.
Me.
Yes, you. The way you make fun of the cardigans I wear because the library's air conditioning is up so high. The Marian librarian cracks when I wear my glasses. How I'm too old to take over and lead an archive with technology changing so fast.
Those are jokes. I meant them with affection.
When I tell you they hurt and you don't stop, that's not affection.
You're being oversensitive.
You hurt me, Darren, over and over and over again.
I'm sorry. Why didn't you tell me?
I did, and you would tell me I was oversensitive.
And you'd get over it and be fine.
All I did was hide the pain because I was too exhausted to keep fighting with you.
I'm sorry.
You're right, though. I took the pain from what you did and I flung it at Lily.
So now you're blaming me for your behavior.
No, I did it, and I can never make it right. I ran out of time before I could make it right. But I'm going to honor Lily at the solstice. Beyond that, in the way I live my life.
By acting more like Lily?
By letting the best of who I was with Lily inform who I want to be in the future. Without you.
Were you going to invite me to the memorial?
No.
I'd like to come. I cared about Lily. Even though I made some bad decisions around her, I'd still like to say goodbye.
I don't... Okay, yes, if you don't make any trouble.
I won't.
If you do, I'll ask you to leave.
I promise. Thank you.
Darren leaves.
I hope I haven't made a mistake.
Scene 6. It's the summer solstice. On the porch, the hanging baskets are in full bloom. The vase on the porch is filled with roses. Leah enters, carrying several bottles of wine. A moment later, Renza enters, carrying a box.
You're taking Lily's notebooks now?
I'm putting them in the car. You know how it goes. Alcohol, emotion, a bonfire. Someone's going to try throwing them in the fire.
Oh, I don't think anyone would.
I do.
Oh, okay.
Selena enters.
Everything looks beautiful. Basil's doing a good job with the fire.
Thank you. Alan's still in his studio. I'm worried that
I'll
he won't...
handle Alan. Both of you go ahead. We'll be there soon.
Leah and Renza exits.
Okay, Lily, come on out. It's time to get things settled.
I always love summer solstice.
That's why they chose today to honor you.
Will there be more summer solstices wherever's next?
I can't answer that, but I do believe you can create the afterlife you want. It's not a wave in the ocean that just sweeps you away.
I hope there's roses.
You haven't been around as much as you used to.
Not much reason to be here. Leah's got everything organized, as usual. Alan, I really don't know how to help Alan. He doesn't listen to me.
Where are you when you're not here?
I don't know. can't remember where I was when I get back. It's one of the reasons I'm kind of scared to leave for good. What if there's nothing? What if I just cease to exist?
Do you believe that?
I really don't know what I believe anymore. I was never much of a churchgoer, but I've always believed there was something. Now I'm afraid to find out I was wrong. I don't want to hear any platitudes about how if I'm not really gone, as long as someone remembers me and...
I was going to offer any.
Oh.
If what you want isn't where you're going, then create it. Isn't that what you did here? In the fabrics you chose, the way you decorated, the garden you created? You chose colors and scents and textures to create beauty and joy. Everyone who walks up to the house smiles when they see what you've created.
A legacy of domestic happiness. Gee, how original.
It made you happy.
Sometimes. Yeah, it made me happy. Sometimes I'm ashamed of how happy it actually made me.
You use this garden as the basis for a lot of your sketches. You saw beyond the tangible, and your sketches teach others to see.
Teaching 6-year-olds to paint somehow seems more tangible.
But this is where you are now. You'll create wherever you go. That's who you are.
You're right. But how do we shake Alan up?
Let's go in and convince him to attend the solstice celebration.
Will you help me with everything?
Yes.
Scene 7. Alan's studio. There are even more canvases of Lily in the foliage than before. Alan is working on more of the same. Selena enters with Lily behind her.
It's the summer solstice.
I know.
The bonfire's ready.
Let me guess. Renza sent you in here to suggest I take all these Lily paintings and toss them in.
No, but it's a party in Lily's honor. Don't you want to be there?
I need to work. Don't start on me with what Lily would want in this situation.
I wasn't going to.
Then you'd be the first.
I'm unique that way. Why don't you ask her yourself?
She's here?
I'm here, Alan. Where else would I go?
You're holding her here.
If only that were true.
You need to let her know you're going to be okay.
I'm not going to be okay. I'm never going to be okay.
You're being selfish.
Because I grieve?
I admit, I'd be annoyed if you didn't miss me, at least a little.
Because you refuse to learn to live with the grief.
I'm afraid.
Of forgetting me? Maybe I'll come back for the occasional hunt.
I'm afraid I'll forget what it felt like when things were wonderful between us. I'm afraid I'll forget what it felt like when I realized it was my fault she died.
It's not your fault.
The drunk driver of the car who hit her is the reason she's dead.
She was on the road at that moment because she tried to get away from me.
I was on the road at that moment because we needed milk.
If I hadn't said those things to her, if I hadn't made fun of her for wanting to teach kids to paint at camp.
We still needed milk.
This is your chance to apologize to her.
I don't deserve her forgiveness. I don't deserve to feel better, ever.
Oh, Alan, of course you do. You think I'm happy that I was killed when I was? It's not my idea of a good time, but it's not your fault.
It feels almost as though she's in the room trying to talk to me.
She's here.
Cue the scary music? Come on, how did you do that?
She's here, Alan. She wants to say goodbye. She wants to let you know she loves you. She needs you to let her go so you can live the rest of your life. And she can go on with what's next.
What's next for her?
I don't know.
Something good?
I hope so. I'm scared.
I believe it's something good because of Lily's intrinsic joy.
But it was joy in life.
It is joy in being.
Lily, are you really there?
I'm really here.
I'm sorry. For every time I was thoughtless, for every cruel word, for every time I didn't realize I was cruel.
I know. I'm glad to hear you say it, but I know.
You think she knows how much I love her? How much I will always love her?
She knows.
I know.
Breaking news. A shooter opened fire at the Jingle Bee Summer Day Camp today, killing 12 6-year-old campers and 3 counselors during their art session. The shooter, who took his own life, is thought to be the parent of one of the campers who lost custody in a divorce.
Those children! Those poor children!
That's where Lily was supposed to teach.
Selena, what can we do to help those children?
It means if Lily hadn't gone out that day last fall and been killed by the drunk driver, she would have been killed today.
My options were killed in a car accident or shot. I'm not loving
It
those.
would be the same outcome, no more Lily. But I would have had her for 6 more months at least.
You wanted me to get shot?
You didn't want Lily murdered by a mass shooter,
I didn't want her murdered by a drunk driver either. I want her alive.
but she's not.
Alan, you have to let me go, please. I can hear the children crying.
Do you think they heard anything about it out there at the fire pit?
I don't know if they left their phones in the house as I asked them, then no.
Alan, please. I can hear them crying,
We need to do
but I
this.
can't get to them.
We need to have the celebration for Lily before they find out.
Thank you, Alan, thank you.
Alan leaves.
Are you ready, Lily?
Yes, I know what's next now, Selena. Thank you.
Scene 8. Leah, Basil, and Renza are there in this beautiful back garden. The garden is set up for a beautiful party, followed by Lily and Selena, and then Alan enters.
Let's honor Lily. Our favorite Lily stories.
Speak from the heart about Lily. Simple's best, don't you think?
I'll start. Lily, you were my younger sister. I always wanted to protect you. The first time you captured fireflies in a glass jar when we were kids, they died overnight. And I knew their deaths would make you cry, so I built tiny little fireflies out of pipe cleaners, and tulle and glitter and phosphorescent paint, and put them in the jar. When you woke up, I told you the fairies changed the fireflies into something that wouldn't try to escape.
I thought Mom did that, or maybe that neighbor who did into crafts. Those fireflies are still in a box somewhere in the house.
When we were teenagers, I didn't want any of the boys to hurt you by not understanding you. But you were the one who protected me when my senior prom date stood me up. We went to that carnival passing through town, going to the rides, eating too much cotton candy.
We had so much more fun than those silly little prom
Oh,
people.
we laughed so much that night. I sometimes forgot to be sad. We met that really cute guy.
The one with the motorcycle. I am seeing a pattern here.
He ran the tilt-a-whirl. I was sure he'd fall in love with you. But he was so kind that night and even bought us ice cream.
Milo! I often wonder what happened to him. Or that carnival.
After his shift was over, he took us to play the arcade games his friends ran. He won a stuffed penguin, which he gave to me, and a giant butterfly, which he gave to you. The next morning, we found out that most of the kids at the prom got food poisoning from contaminated shrimp.
Sounds like you got the best part of that night.
Fly free, like this origami bird.
What did I tell you? Alcohol, bonfire, paper.
Now you're up next, Renza.
To Lily, filled with grace, charm, beauty, talent, endless patience, and bottomless compassion.
Who is she talking about? Because it doesn't sound like me.
The world will know your whimsy. May you dance in the meadows of the universe.
Basil?
Sexy, sexy Basil.
I only knew Lily through Leah's stories. She was a woman of boundless energy and talent, and very much loved by those who knew her.
If you do not visit him in England, I will come back and haunt you.
I'm sorry I never knew you, but the woman I met through the stories was extraordinary. Rest in love, my girl.
Darren enters.
Did you hear about the shooting?
Don't say anything, please.
Darren, why don't you say something next?
Yeah, sure. Lily, you were always kind, no matter what, and the world needs more like you.
Thank you, I think. I'm glad you think I was kind because sometimes, with you, not so easy.
Selena?
Lily, I only met you after you left this world, but your humor, your talent, and your compassion touched me.
Thank you.
May you have a delightful, energized afterlife.
I thought we were supposed to hope that she rests in peace.
I don't think a bland afterlife would suit Lily.
Not at all.
Finally, you, Alan.
I feel as though you should have the last word, Leah. Start with you, end with you, full circle.
Her life started with me and ended with you. Okay, that sounded better in my head. Never mind. But she loved you so much, Alan. The last word should be yours.
Lily, I always made fun of people who claimed they fell in love at first sight. Then I walked into the group student show at the end of your first semester. You were the only freshman who got a few pieces in. You were trying to hang that multimedia piece of the mermaid dancing in the waves on the tips of her tail, and it wouldn't hang straight.
I made her scales out of pieces of soda cans that I cut up and painted. Since she wasn't in the center of the painting, one side was heavier than the other, and I couldn't get it to hang straight.
You were the most beautiful, luminous creature I'd ever seen. I wasn't sure how to get you to notice me. I came over to help you with the painting and figure out how to attach weights to the back of the frame to make it hang straight.
You were my hero that night and forever forward, even during the rough times.
I regret every word said in anger or through lack of understanding. Know that I loved you with everything I had, and I will always miss you. I still have a lot of work to do to learn to be without you, but I don't want you trapped here in my misery. I want you to continue your soul's journey in joy.
I love you, Alan.
I love you, Lily.
I love all of you very much. But I have to go. I need it.
May your soul always fly in love.
Now what?
It's the longest day and the shortest night. We sit up, feed the fire, tell more Lily stories.
Is it okay?
Yes.
I'm going back to the studio. I have work to do.
Alan?
I'm going.
Alan exits to his studio. Scene 9. Alan's studio. Alan puts up a fresh canvas on the easel and walks over to choose paints. Alan enters.
Well, now that we've solved all the world's problems, I'll get the coffee started and make some breakfast.
I'll help.
I finished.
Another?
Even you will like this one.
Alan, it's beautiful.
This is amazing.
She looks happy, the way I remember her.
That's quite extraordinary.
You did it. You let her go.
Go in love, Lily.
Love. The end.
Greetings, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please join me in welcoming our director, Mary Freilich, and our
fabulous author, Eva Schegulla.
So before we get started, we're just going to start off with a couple of questions for Eva. So Eva, would you please let me know a little bit about where this play came from, what the process of creating these characters was?
The play started in a playwrights workshop hosted by the Williamstown Theater Festival about 2 years ago. They're a group of 10 playwrights, and we were thrown prompts, and we had 2 minutes to come up with an idea. And one of the prompts was fall forever, and I immediately thought of a man who'd lost his wife, and he was painting the same perfect moment over and over and over again. And we came up with a whole bunch of different plays and prompts, but at the end of the workshop, everybody in the workshop came up to me and said, you have to write this play, you have to write this play. And I said, okay, one of these days I'll write this play. And I kept thinking about it, and then last year, Dramatists Guild does something every April called End of Play, where it's a program where you commit to writing the first draft of a play within 30 days. Pens up April 1st, pens down April 30th. So I said, okay, I'm finally going to sit down and write this play, and I did. The first draft, and then it was chosen by the 24-hour play project the day after it was finished. We did a reading in May 1st, which was a little bit faster than I would have liked from a first draft. We did a virtual reading with the 24-hour play program, and then I went back and I rewrote what I learned from this. And then in fall, I sent it here, and it was chosen for this project.
And we're so glad that you did. And so what, could you tell me a little bit more about your larger body of work and how this fits into it? Is it a play like this with its more fantastical elements or supernatural elements, I guess you could say, representative of your work at large? Or is
I would say I do quite a bit with the supernatural and ghosts. As far as theater work, I've been working professionally in the theater since I was 18, and that was a really long time ago. So my home and my life has been very much in theater, but I do radio plays. A lot of my radio work is comic noir mystery, and there are often paranormal elements in that. I write novels, I write all kinds of short stories, all kinds of things under a bunch of different names. A lot of paranormal with that. So yeah, I've been writing for Llewellyn since 1994 in their calendars and almanacs. So it's always been a part of it, and a lot of my friends are professional tarot readers, and I did that for a while when I was making the transition from working off Broadway to Broadway. When I was in between shows, I used to earn rent money by reading tarot cards at different stores or going to the track to Aqueduct and bet the ponies. Those were my two jobs that weren't in theater.
And I'm just curious, having worked in so many different, types of media,
Yeah.
right? When you're exploring characters like this, how does the process differ for you when it comes to writing for live theater than for something like a radio play, for instance?
Well, radio is driven by sound. So radio, you drive plot and reveal character through sound, which I find fascinating. And I didn't realize until this reading how much sound I use in this play, as far as with the cars and all of that stuff. Yeah. There is a lot of sound in this. Maybe I'll adapt for radio for one of my producers. But it's, the medium is very much, it's so different to write a stage play than a screenplay or a radio play. Theater, it's a more enclosed environment because you're on the stage, but you have more space and time as far as being able to develop scenes, where in film, if you have more than a 2-page scene in a film, they get a little bit antsy when they're reading it. And the great thing about writing in theater is once you get actors in and once you have 3-dimensional human beings speaking the words, you get to cut all the unnecessary ones. So that's one of my favorite things about being in rehearsal with actors, is that I get to cut things. And I love to cut. So.
Well, does anyone have any questions for Eva, for anybody on stage today? Yes?
So I kind of 2 questions. So first, what sparked your interest in the paranormal? And secondly, have you had any personal experience with ghosts?
Well, I've always been interested in the paranormal. Again, to use Basil's line, there are things that I haven't understood. I've experienced things I haven't understood. When family members have died and have been far away and I've known they died, or have known something has happened to somebody. I've spent a lot of time in England, and you do believe in the paranormal when you're in England because you have the centuries of history. So whether it's actually ghosts or whether it's just the energy that's left and layered and layered and layered, and the stories take on their own lives. So, there are all kinds of different facets, and, you can have discussions about what is reality until you need a lot of alcohol for that. Meet me in the bar, we'll talk more.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments or? Yes, Lisa.
Well, I love the play. It makes us all feel good about losing someone, because everyone works out and everyone's pretty well behaved. I couldn't help thinking, oh my gosh, they're talking about something that happened that's so dramatic. I might have loved to have seen what you would do by making that either a flashback or having it actually happen.
What is that?
I'll give you an example.
The moment that of her
Yes, the moment.
death?
The moment
Or the
that
moment
Darren kisses Lily. The moment that the children are that she may have dig deeper into the whole teaching thing. Maybe the children have to be told that their teacher isn't coming that day.
Mhm.
You know, those kinds of things that you create that could be a little more immediate to the audience.
So you think that in film that would definitely be the choice, because that would have to be. But you think that would also serve the stage as well?
I think the stage is...
Even with the production, because again, you have to think about production parameters.
I think it would be exciting to have Basil and Leah actually cheat for a moment, you know, lean into those kinds of things. And yes, those things can be staged theatrically, lighting and you know, things like that. It can be challenging.
So Mary has a.
And if I may just speak to that, and a lot of that, some of that is written into the script. We are told that we hear the children crying. There is a kiss that is set with Basil and Leah, and then there should be an embrace and a kiss at the end for the sake of the reading and simplicity and trying to move. How many of you are? There's 7 of you. seven of you around this, a tiny stage. We chose to just keep it as like just a whisper of that, but it is. I mean, if you were going to fully fledge this
is perfect for our
yeah,
purposes.
yeah. I think there's room for that.
But as you take this story forward, these are the things I think you could even, if you don't want to put it on the shelf and move on to a different project altogether, but you wanted to continue working on this, those would be things.
Oh no, I'm going to be working on this.
Yeah, it's very exciting. There's so much drama there that you can mine.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure that we also didn't fall into the cliches of what people expected too. You know, I wanted Leah and Basil to have very different memories of their positions. You know, Basil was they were very impressed with each other and never realized how inferior they felt to each other almost.
Yeah.
You know, they each thought the other was the catalyst, when really it was them together, feeding off of each other.
I think we have another question right over here.
I would like to know whether you were inspired by Daphne du Maurier, or was that
I've spent some time in Cornwall, so I know her work very well.
Because she had that penchant also for criminal and paranormal.
Yes,
Both
yes.
come up,
Yes, I grew up on Daphne du Maurier, so. And then I went to Cornwall and spent time there, so.
Any other questions or thoughts? Yes, Tim.
I was very impressed with the thought of the one that got away and kind of like settling. You know what I mean, in life. It's kind of, I don't know if that's just attached to youthfulness, or is it something you kind of realize when you're older, or whatever, you know, or in the face of tragedy or things like that. I was very taken by that. I didn't think it needed to be a British guy.
And you notice that I don't do
No.
much of an accent.
Poor man, because what's written is so much in British Kings.
So Eva, I have a question.
Yes.
Because we kind of now focused on like your take on the paranormal, on the spirit world. When we were early just talking about this, did you think a bit about how you wanted to present grief in its many forms? Because there's a lot of different
Yes.
things that are happening about grief and loss and transition.
Yes,
And
because, the Victorians were screwy on a lot of things, but they had a whole process for grief. And now I feel like we're expected to be over grief in 3 days. Somebody dies, you have the funeral, okay, go back to your life like nothing has ever changed. And it's got to be a process, because if you don't deal with it and take the time you need, it comes back and gets you.
Yeah. True.
And I wanted it to be a little bit ambiguous. Is Lily really there, or is it their imagination of, like what?
We struggled with that. Like
Yeah.
we kept, at least I did. I kept
Uh-huh.
do they see her? Do they hear her? Is she there? Is she not there? And I know with Tom, who was Alan, it was like, do I see her? And I said, not yet. Not yet. Not until that very last moment. So that is very interesting that was intentional. Thank you.
And would anyone else in the cast like to speak about navigating those moments? Or yes?
Actually, not about that moment. I had something else I just
absolutely.
wanted
Go
to say. First of all, I am so thankful for you writing this script and sharing it with us. I think that this has been really a great script, a great story to tell, and I'm so appreciative to be a part of it. And I want to thank Mary and Mike both for their work too. But this has been a really collaborative week. So we got together on Tuesday night. That was our first rehearsal. And Eva was on with us, was it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday.
You were on because we had storm and power and stuff. And so she was on with us on Zoom from her home. And the next day she said, I have some changes.
Yes.
Now that I've heard that out loud.
I said a bunch of pages. Well, because I knew I knew that you had Wednesday to work Act 1, Thursday to work Act 2, and the run through. So the pages had to be there before you started working Act 1.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fair to bring in stuff that you didn't have a chance to work. I mean, if we were in a full rehearsal process, or if we were doing out-of-town tryouts, we would be rehearsing the new stuff while you're doing the old stuff in performance.
Yeah.
And having so much fun. There's nothing like that experience. If you've never done that as an actor or as part of a theater company, you should do it at least once in your life. You may never want to do it again, but it's definitely, you learn a lot. And I mean, again, I do script doctoring and things on film, and there have been plenty of times where I've been in New York shooting them pages as they're filming because something didn't work. And I was like, well, if you'd listened to me 3 months ago, we would have fixed this. But here we are, and you're paying me a lot, so here are your pages.
Well, and it was just really neat for
But, yeah.
me as the actor to have you also sort of in the room with us.
Yes.
And so we get to the end of rehearsal every night, and Mary and Mike and Eva would have this conversation about, well, what did this work? Or, what are you seeing here? And,
Yeah.
and it was just really cool to have you as part of that process.
Yes, and I love being in the room with actors. That's my favorite thing about being a playwright, like I said, because you have three-dimensional human beings, so you get rid of it. You can simplify, you can pare down, you can get rid of what doesn't work. Because, it's different when you read something and when it plays.
Yes, we got another.
Would you allow me to ask the actors, now that you hear that your lines might be cut? What were your favorite lines? Appeal to the author, don't cut this. What were you most passionate about? I really loved how you worked together as a team.
Thank you.
Do you want to start?
Any lines you love?
I would have preferred the silver soup tureen.
I wrote that down.
I don't think there's anything that was, for me, that was either cut or things like that, but I definitely love the whole visual of her trying to protect the paintings and things before the people got there, because if you're going to be drinking, you're going to be emotional, you're going to have the paintings and they're just going to go in the bonfire, and she's like, no, let's protect this. I like that whole kind of little banter.
I think I loved the scene with Lily where we're reminiscing about my time in England and Europe. And that, I don't know about you, where are you, sister? I don't know about you, but it felt like we fell into a very comfortable rhythm that felt familial.
Absolutely.
And I think that was the most fun, that and being able to slap somebody. I've never done that on stage. So, Michael was my first. Yeah.
Anybody else?
I kind of like the line that I had where he explains about how the one sketch came to be the sorbet thing, and he says, I can't explain it, it just is. I like that because it kind of realizes, and he's starting to realize, the painter is, that, there was more to this than that.
I kind of loved a lot of my pop in, pop out, sort of playing with the space and tripping people, and that was very fun for me to just kind of flit about and cause shenanigans.
I actually really liked Stupid Stupor. I think it is it's a really fun, like, match together. It's
And
hard-
you've got
hard
it
for me to
out
get-
every night. I liked, not a necromancer, but I do talk
I will
with
sit
the
down
dead.
too.
Anybody else? Well, one other thing I was going to say, Eva, are there any questions that you want to ask of the audience and their experience with the play?
Tell me what you love. Tell me, did you want to see more of anything, more of anybody in particular? Were there characters that you wanted to see more of? I was trying to keep a good balance between everybody, you know, and keep people moving in and out, so that, you know, poor Basil comes in at the end of Act 1, but so he misses most of Act 1. But everybody else, I was trying to keep everything, you know, the rhythm going and the movement going. I think in the next draft, I'm going to do shift a little bit on Darren's character too, because I want to put something in there about what worked for them. Because I think the audience needs to see something about what brought them, so that it's not about settling, so it's, she knew that they would not work. And if they had tried, they would have gotten a divorce. So even though he may be the one who'd gotten away, it was still the right choice not to. Yes?
Leah has a scene where she's describing all the awful things that Darren has said to her.
Mhm.
The time you said this, and the time you said that, and the time you said this. I would have loved to have seen that scene where Darren is actually saying those things to her.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been, I think, just
Yep.
hysterical.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
We've got another one up here, yes.
On the opposite side of that, for the Darren, rounding out the Darren character like you were just talking about, she mentions a few times they used to make her laugh.
Yeah. Yes, and I want to have him make her laugh.
Like if he comes in and she laughs and then she gets angry, and every time like she chuckles when he's trying to downplay the fact that he just cheated on her, but he still makes her laugh.
Yes.
Before she gets angry again, it's like not this time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. That was something, as we did in rehearsals, that's one of the notes that I had. And then at the end too, I want him to do something, make you laugh in the last scene too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Would you ever consider some kind of a dream, whether Alan would have a dream where he and Lily could actually exist together on some realm? Whether there's a bed on stage and he rises up and she's there and they actually have a dream where they're interacting as in their relationship somehow.
Yeah, and then you mentioned,
have a chance to communicate some of that.
and I think there's mention in the one scene too of when you're going through the magazines and the newspapers and stuff, and he says about them sitting in the hammock or something like that. So I think, there's definitely seems like there are elements in there that, that he describes that probably you could, or, it, depending on the medium, obviously, like we were saying, stage versus film versus all sorts of different things. But I think that particular scene stood out to me too, this whole idea that she read the whole magazine already, but then would read it to him and they'd be in the hammock and they'd be happy, things like that.
I probably wouldn't do it as a dream sequence. I might do it something with Selena, because dream sequences are so overused. And so, it's sort of like voiceover, The minute you see a script with a voiceover, you go, okay, that's going in the can, because it's been done so often, unless it brings something really new to the table. It's not. So I like what you're saying as far as the interaction, but I would find something different than a dream to do it.
I think we've got time for one more question, maybe. Anybody else? Well, another round of applause then.